Moody Mile, home of the biggest week in dirt racing, Napa Auto Parts Super Dirt Week. Hundreds of cars, thousands of laps, all capped off with the feature event, the VP Small Engine Fuels 200. Stuart Friesen has won back-to-back 200s. Can Mr. Freeze make it 3 in a row? Billy Decker dominated the mile last year, but the Franklin Flyer couldn't sweep the week. Super Dirt Car Series points leader Matt Shepard last won this race in 2009, but the mile has been tough on Super Matt since then. Big blocks on the big track for the big race. This is the feature event of Napa Auto Parts Super Dirt Week, the VP Small Engine Fuels 200, the Super Dirt Car Series, next on Speed. It's the 41st edition of the biggest race in big block modified racing, the Napa Auto Parts Super Dirt Week. We're here at the VP Small Engine Fuels 200 at the Moody Mile in Syracuse. Hi, everybody. Ralph Sheheen alongside Shane Andrews as we get ready to go racing here today. And Shane, the weather, as you can see with the flags blowing, could be an issue today.
Typical Syracuse weather in October. It's overcast. There's rain around the surrounding areas. This is the biggest and richest race for the big block modifieds, Ralph. $50,000 at the end of this event to one lucky driver. This is their Super Bowl, their World Series, their Daytona, their Indy. This is everything to the big block modified.
Well, and as you take a look at Tim Fuller on the left, Jimmy Horton on the right, two guys that have won this race already. It is by far the most prestigious race on the tour.
This is the 41st running. 21 drivers have won this event.
Two guys will be covering the action on pit road for us today, Clinton Jeffrey and Tony Bachhoven. Let's begin with Clinton.
Here with Brett Hearn. Brett, your first win was a long time ago. Your last one, 17 years ago. You've run good here in the past. What can you do today to finally get back on the podium here at the Moody Mile?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, you have to finish. Let's face it, we haven't finished that many of them for whatever reason, and you can't win if you're in the pits. I mean, we saw that in the heat race the other night. We broke a right rear wheel on the rough surface, but those things can't happen here. You have to get in and out of the pits cleanly and be around at the end, be a contender. So if we're not that, we're not going to win it.
You've had these issues in the past, Brett. Last year you got knocked out. Being at the end is what you need to do. But in the grand scheme of things, to win this race, what would it mean for you to get back to the top?
Well, I think that, it just, there's so much frustration. It's almost a joke. In so many years we've been frustrated by different things that have broken or happened to us that don't ever happen any other time of the year. So we just got to try to avoid those things. I mean, if we... I would like to be around the end, see where we were. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, guys, in 2010 and 2011, Matt Shepard left the VP Small Engine Fuels 200 with blown engines. But in 2009, he left here the champion. Today, you've got a few rows to work your way through, but what are your odds here today? It's a long race, 200 laps.
I mean, that's just it. Last two times we finished this race, we finished first and second. But, we overheated 2 years ago and we broke a wheel last year. So we just want to finish this race, number one. If we finish it, we'll be in the hunt.
Cool temperatures, a little rain the last couple days. What do you expect out of the track?
I think the track's going to be real slick. It's a little choppy in 3 and 4. I think that's going to cause some problems with some cars. So attrition's going to be a big deal. And, whoever gets their car hooked up on this slick surface the best, it's going to be tough to beat.
Well, we've already had some racing here this weekend, Shane. It is, as we say, Super Dirt Week, and things got pretty busy already. Let's go ahead and take a look back now at the Napa Auto Parts qualifying race recap. Let's get into the highlights of that action.
Musco Lighting brought in because we raced under the lights. Friday night lights at the Moody Mile. 3 20-lap qualifying events to set the field for the 200-lapper.
Big difference racing on this track under the lights, too.
Fast timer Billy Decker in the number 91 picked up the win in his Napa Auto Stores ride. A little trouble here, though, for Brett Hearn. This is not how he wanted his weekend to start out.
Checkered flag eventually falls, and as Hearn said, boy, this is a place where things tend to happen to you that you're not used to the rest of the season.
In the second 20-lap event, right here, the 00. You remember this name, Buzzy Ruderman? He made the 00 famous at the mile. Well, this is Bobby Varon from Sharon Springs, New York, in the Dover Brake 00 machine as he picks up the win for qualifying event number 2.
That's 2 out of the 3, and here's the third one, getting this one underway.
You know, the tricky thing about Syracuse is always the start. The mad scramble to find the right lane going into turn number 1 and 2. Justin Harris, Billy Dunn, and Peter Britton all found the right lanes early. But look at this move with Billy Dunn in that number 49 on the top side.
Making that outside work. Battling down into turn number 3 in the closing stages of this one.
Billy Dunn picks up the win for the third 20-lap qualifying event. A great run by the driver out of Watertown, New York.
Those all taking place. Let's talk to our Gravely zero-turn pole sitter. Here's Billy Decker with Clinton.
Here with Billy Decker. Billy, your team has utterly dominated the lead up to this event last year, had a great run going so far this year. But in the end, you've got to be there. What can you do today to try and change your luck?
Well, we're just trying to react to track conditions and stay on top of things, that's all. This Napa team has done a really good job. We've come prepared again. Track seems to change a little bit on Sundays, and we're trying to stay on top of that and made some adjustments. Looks like today's going to be no different, so hopefully they're the right ones.
Did you get out and get a good look at the surface yourself yet, Billy?
Yeah, well, we had hot laps first thing this morning. We got a little track time, but the track was strictly green again. It's had a bunch of racing on it since then, so what we were on this morning is going to be totally different than what we're going to be on here in a few minutes. So it's a guessing game at this stage, and hopefully we applied the right stuff and hopefully put ourselves in a position late in the race to be a factor.
All right, thanks a lot, Billy. Billy Decker going for his first win here in 7 years.
Yeah, and his 5th pole as well here at Syracuse. Well, the big blocks are the big daddies of this big event, but that's not the only racing we do here, Shane. We run the smaller cars, too.
That's right, the 358 Modifieds, the small blocks, same exact bodies, just the smaller engine. This is the Gander Mountain 150.
Taking a look at the highlights from this one as it got underway. Problems here for the 00.
Right on the initial start, Bobby Varon in the 00 got turned around. He actually caught some air.
And here is Brett Hearn having his issues. They continue.
Well, Brett had to start in the back of the pack. He started last on the grid, decided to come down pit road and top off the fuel on lap number 3.
You see the groove down on the bottom?
Like Tim Fuller in that 74 and Billy Decker, they're best friends off the track, but when they get on the racetrack, they are fierce competitors.
Pit lane always comes into play here at Syracuse.
Well, they had to make a mandatory stop, and it gets a little bit hectic. These crews aren't used to pitting under pressure like this, and then the drivers back out on the track, see the green, and it's all up to them.
Racing back underway here, storming down into 3. Here comes Brett Hearn. Could he finally make it work here? Tire issues here.
Yeah, well, tire on this car right here in trouble, bringing out the caution. And Brett Hearn opting to stay on the racetrack, inheriting the lead.
So maybe the luck is going to change a little bit for Brett, and maybe it could play into what's about to unfold. And we're going to be showing you a little bit later as we continue with the highlights here. Hearn out front, but the field trying to track him down.
One of the cars trying to close in on him was Billy Decker in the 91. Trouble for him. But the car on the move was that number 4 of Tim McCready. He was right there with Brett Hearn, and you see Hearn start to run out of gas.
Oh, boy, here it comes again, right? We saw him gamble on the fuel. It didn't work. Worked pretty good for this guy.
T-Mac, Tim McCready, Watertown, New York, picks up his first ever win on the Syracuse Mile in the 358 modified event.
Beautiful sunset. He takes the checkered flag, and we get closer to the start here for the 200. Let's check in with Tony Bachhoven once again.
Peter Britton goes off outside of the front row in only his second visit here to the VP Small Engine Fuels 200. Outside of the front row, second quick qualifier. Great run here so far. What's it going to take today in 200 miles?
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of luck, a lot of good preparation, and I'm just going to have to drive the car really well. There's a lot of experienced competitors around me. What I lack in experience, I'm going to make up for in youthful exuberance, as they say. So I guess all we're going to do is just do whatever we can.
Well, as you can tell from the accent, Peter Britton is from down under, Australian. Kind of adds a bit of an international flavor to the front of the grid.
Sure does. American Billy Decker set fast time. French-Canadian driver David Hebert was second quickest. And our good friend from Australia, Peter Britton, was third fastest.
Well, you see, the command has already been given. Engines coming to life. Brett Hearn hoping to change the luck here of the Moody Mile.
45 drivers, Ralph, ready to take on this racetrack.
Well, the VP Small Engine Fuels 200 just moments away from getting started here on Speed, the biggest race of the year for the Super Dirt Car Series, about to get underway. The VP Small Engine Fuels 200 is brought to you by VP Small Engine Fuels. Start your tools first time, every time. Gander Mountain, we live outdoors. Armor All Extreme Shield Wax repels dirt and grime. Welcome back to the New York State Fairgrounds, affectionately known as the Moody Mile to race fans across the country. Big Block Modifieds getting closer to the start of the biggest race of the year for them. Let's take a look at the STP track facts for this place, known as a big 1 mile oval.
Sure is. It's a clay surface, a little bit of banking in the turns, but not much, pretty much flat.
Yeah, not really a whole lot to lean on, is there?
No, there isn't. And if you drift outside of the outside groove, guess where you're going? Right into one of those concrete walls.
Cars continuing to warm up. One driver having a bit of an issue here. Let's check in one more time with Clinton Jeffrey and Tony Bachhoven.
Well, here at the New York State Fairgrounds, track conditions, just like any dirt track, is always a big issue and a big story. Earlier in the week, the track starts like this, very soft, basically just mud. And as the week progresses and the track crew does their best to put on a great surface, we end up with something that is almost as hard-packed as asphalt. Now, the entire track is always the story here, but this year, turn 3 and 4 have been a bit of an issue. The track crew have done a marvelous job throughout the week, but in the end, that 1/4 mile stretch on the entrance of 3 to the exit of 4 could be the difference here today when it comes down to track conditions.
Each of today's competitor goes out onto the racetrack with a D500 right rear. After lap 150 today, each team will have the option to put on a softer D400 tire. Along what will be victory lane here today, you see each of these teams with their tire, all with the purple marking designating the softer tire. They'll have the option to put it on if they want, or they can stay on their original D500 compound tire.
That tire issue is going to be one we'll be talking about throughout the course of the race. Weather could also be a story, as Clinton was pointing out what's going on with the racetrack. There is rain in the area. There's been rain here all week. That could definitely impact the outcome of this race and how this track comes in over the course of the 200 miles here today. This track takes a beating over the course of the week.
It sure does. A lot of cars turning a lot of laps from a lot of divisions, and you got to give a tip of the hat to the track crew. They've done a fantastic job once again here on the mile.
Now the cars are making their way down to pit road, and as we've talked about, Shane, pitting is not something these guys normally do, but it is a big part of the race strategy here.
Well, they do have to make a mandatory pit stop after lap 100, but they're also going to want to take on gasoline. Right now, they're learning the pit road speed, 35 miles an hour.
For more on the pit strategy, let's go back down to Clinton.
Well, here at Super Dirt Week, pit stops can make or break your day. These teams are not professionals. They do this for fun most weekends. But today, after lap 100, they must make one mandatory pit stop. That could come under caution, could come at speed. Either way, this pit stop is going to be crazy this afternoon, and these guys could be the ones to put their driver in victory lane.
In my first visit here to the New York State Fairgrounds, I'm amazed at how long the straightaways are, how sweeping the corners are, but more importantly, how narrow it is coming off of that wide corner number 2 and heading down that long back straightaway. I'll be interested today to see on that final lap just who can get through that tight turn number 2.
Both ends of the racetrack going to come into play, coming off the 2, going into 3. And there's a good look at the pit lane.
Well, Tony made a good point. The front stretch is awfully wide, but when you come off of turn number 2, it narrows right down to about 2 car lengths, maybe 2.5. And then going into turn number 3, there is a tunnel. Actually, it's a crossover road across the track that the cars, when they go in, they have a tendency to scrape down onto the racetrack, and when the shocks come back up on the race car, they have a tendency, again, to bounce through there, and that's part of the problem of what has caused some of the track conditions over there.
Taking a look at Bobby Varon, 00. There you see the 20 of Brett Hearn.
This is an event, Ralph, like none other in the big block modified ranks in the Northeast.
Troubles here.
Toby Tobias added to the field as a past champion in the number 3A. That's the Kevin Albert car. Added to the field, didn't qualify through any of the events.
Cato New York's Vincent Vitale here having some issues as well, talking things over with the crew. Back up at the front, Decker.
Sharp-looking ride, always fast.
All right, let's take a look at our grid. You see Hearn and Barron are going to make up row number 2 as we work our way through this starting grid. Jimmy Phelps, Matt Shepard back there. There's some other procedural things that are going to come into play as you see Stuart Friesen and the rest of the field.
Well, Clinton already touched on one of them. After lap 100, they are going to have to come down pit road for a mandatory stop. They must change a right rear tire. They cannot pull the right rear off and put it back on. They have to physically change the right rear tire. Plus, laps this year will count under green up to lap 175. The final 25 laps of this event will be run, cautions will not count. So up to lap 175, cautions count. The last 25 laps, cautions will not count.
And it's a deep field. You see Jimmy Horton all the way back in row 20, as we said earlier, former winner on this great event.
You can see how narrow that backstretch is, Ralph. Look at that. They're crammed right in there. Can you imagine doing this at 150 miles an hour?
No, I can't imagine doing 4 wide either at this pace field speed. But that's a big part of anything that the World of Outlaws do, and this is the tip of the hat to the fans in the grandstands who come out to support the races, and it's a big crowd once again here at Syracuse. Fans in the grandstands on their feet with the famed salute to the fans coming off of turn number 4.
One of the most spectacular sights you will see in motorsports. Big block modifieds, 4 wide on the biggest track that they will race for the biggest purse all season long. This right here, Ralph, is Super Dirt Week.
And that big grandstand packed once again here. Look at the drivers waving at the fans as we get ready for 200 laps here on the Moody Mile.
I'm getting chills just watching this. I can't imagine what it must be like behind the wheel of one of those 800 horsepower modifieds, anticipating the green flag and going into turn number 1 for the very first time to establish your position.
Well, if you grew up in the Northeast, this is it. This is the biggest race in this region.
This is all we've come to know each and every fall. Super Dirt Week in October, it's what we as race fans in the Northeast live for. This is modified country, but it has so much respect around the United States because of the event it is.
Truly a happening. The best racers and the best cars about to battle it out when we come back. Back here at Syracuse, the field getting ready to go, and some drivers already having issues before this one even gets started. That's Vitali we showed you. He was on pit road as they were doing their pace laps earlier. Well, here we go. Billy Decker pacing the field to the green in the 91.
Peter Britton right on the outside of him. Brett Hearn, Bobby Varon, Gary Tompkins. They locked themselves in from the top 6 in qualifying. Billy Dunn right there with them as well in the 49.
The VP Small Engine Fuels 200 ready to go. It's the STP start of the race as we go green at Syracuse. Where it tightens up as they come off at 2. Incredible how they all get through there. 3, 4 wide, and down the backstretch we go.
Wow, everybody can breathe now. We all held our breath going into turn number 1 and 2, and everybody comes out of it clean. One of the most exciting starts in all of motorsports, watching them charge into turn number 1. Wasting no time, scrambling for position. Billy Dunn in the 49, Ralph, looking to the inside of Bobby Varon. Already, a couple of grooves to use here. We've already seen a couple of race cars out there today, initially on the start, so looking to get to the front early. They may have to go to the top.
Decker leads it early. Hearn tucks in behind him in second place.
Jimmy Phelps in that number 98H just getting around the 49 of Billy Dunn. How about Tim McCready in that 39? We saw him win the 358 modified race on Saturday, and we see him in World of Outlaw late model competition, a very versatile driver.
You can see how hard-packed it is, but then, boy, there's some spots, especially in 3. You can, getting a little wide up there on the outside.
Jimmy Phelps really pushing the envelope that time through turns number 1 and 2. Got the car lowered down, got it back in the groove. I'm sure a spotter's telling him, take it easy.
Yeah, McCready in the 39, that's that red and yellow car. He noticed that, though, ready to pounce, and Billy Dunn in the 49 right behind him.
You can see right here coming off of turn number 4, a little bit of a dip there, one of the ruts that they're going to have to work with. But again, the track crew doing a fantastic job. Friday.
Oh, man, trying to sneak a nose in there. The 84 at Gary Tompkins, that could have gotten ugly in a hurry.
That could have gotten real ugly. And again, we got to watch them when they go in through that portion of the speedway. If they hit that rut just right, could shoot them right up into another competitor.
Too wide again, coming off the corner.
Early on, everybody just trying to get the feel of the race car, get settled in, get some laps underneath them.
Here's the battle up near the front for the lead. Already, Hearn has reeled in Decker.
Decker started on the pole. Hearn started in the 3rd slot right behind him.
Shane, these are two guys that are not going to panic at this point. We're only 5 laps in what's scheduled for 200. These guys know there's a lot of racing yet to go. These guys pretty happy right now just to see what the other has.
You're absolutely right. They are not going to panic. Between the two of them, they have, you ready for this, 9 wins in this event.
Pretty good resume for the Hall of Fame.
5 of them for Hearn, 4 of them for the car leading the 91 of Billy Decker.
One thing they know that's coming too is traffic, and already there's a car in front of them.
You know what's impressive about Decker's resume with his 4 wins? They've all come with the same crew chief. Scott Jeffrey has been the man behind the microphone on the pit box for all 4 of those wins.
Consistency and chemistry, a big part of success here at Syracuse. And look at this, Hearn coming up inside. Going to try to use that lapper to his advantage, and it's going to work. Maybe. Forces Decker to the outside, and yes, we have a new leader here at Syracuse.
Boy, that's a view that Brett Hearn hasn't seen in a while in a big block modified race here at the mile. And that is out in front, nothing but traffic in front of him.
Did you see the smoke? Little bit of smoke coming off the 20. Man, he's always talked about, we heard at the beginning of the show, how things can go so wrong for him here. He's really struggled to have luck. And is it already going bad for Brett Hearn as he takes the lead here? Not even 10 laps in.
He said it would be cool just to finish. So you know his first goal of this event is to finish this race today. But you know, as a racer, he wants to be in front and lead as many laps as he can.
We'll keep an eye on the backside of the 20 there. And already into what's quickly becoming some thick traffic.
Well, it's too early to be any tire wear unless he did some damage on the right rear of the car that it's rubbing on the tire, but it doesn't look like there's any damage there.
Kevin Bates in the 6N goes a lap down. That's that black and orange car. He started near the back of the field, though.
Started in position number 44, provisional to the field, but he's going to stay out there. He's going to race. He's going to get experience on this mile, which will make him better.
Now it's Matt Pupello in the 34.
He's got to be wondering, Hearn's already going by me. They raced together at the Lebanon Valley Speedway in West Lebanon, New York. They raced together quite a bit.
Yeah, we're not even 10 laps in yet, and we're already to the back of the field working our way through. But Decker's going to get held up a little bit. That's going to help Hearn a bunch.
Yes, it will, as Hearn still has traffic to contend with. That car right in front of him, that number 3A, that is Toby Tobias out of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, the 92 winner of this event. Jumped into this car for the non-qualifiers event and was added to the field as a past champion.
Well, look, if we're already this deep into traffic at lap 10, I think you're going to be in traffic pretty much for the next 190 laps.
Well, that's a very good point, and it's going to be to Billy Decker's advantage if he can stay with Brett Hearn, because he'll be able to see what Hearn's doing and be able to take the opposite line and maybe use traffic to his advantage.
Hearn and Decker continue to lead. Barron's running in third. Phelps is fourth. McCready is got fifth to himself right now.
He's got his hands full, though, with Billy Dunn in that number 49 right behind him. Matt Shepard, no stranger to this speedway as well. Past champion in that number 9S, the 2009 winner.
Decker back to the outside, trying to pick his way through here.
Look at how wide that corner is, turn number 1 and 2. And as Tony alluded to, Ralph, look at how it narrows right up, almost like a funnel when they go down the back straightaway.
And then here's the entrance to 3.
This is where they start to see the effects of the racetrack. And it's going to be interesting how they maneuver through there. Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to drive through it. But it is the preferred groove.
Well, and if we get down to a tight one coming off of 4 to the checkers, the way the exit off of 4 is developing early in the race, that could come into play too.
Definitely, and look at how slick this track is right now. They're not even using full throttle. They don't want to spin those tires. They're just easy on the throttle, letting that car roll through the corners.
Coming off of 4 again.
Really like that number 49 of Billy Dunn. Out of Watertown, New York, time trialed 6th quickest, locked himself into the field. Last year, he was up on the front row, broke early, but he gained a lot of experience from that race 1 year ago.
See McCready in the 39. Well, we talked about Hearn having some issues. Let's hear what he's saying on the radio.
Broke a tailpipe or a header or something on the right side.
No problem. It puffed a little bit of smoke, but I haven't seen it since. Don't worry about it.
They might have cut loose.
Well, we saw the smoke as well, but just like the crew was saying, Shane, we haven't seen anything since then.
That's his nephew, Matt Hearn, his crew chief here for the 2012 season, talking to him, and it hasn't slowed him down any.
Crew's watching from pit lane. Not time for them to get busy yet, but it will be soon. We'll be back. Back here at Syracuse, and we are under the first caution of the day. The 6N of Kevin Bates up along the outside wall. There he is. And the race is slowed down for the first time. Crew's now talking about things. What are they going to do?
Well, you see them, they're anxious and they're nervous. Not sure what they're going to do. Maybe too early to come down, but you might see somebody come in for some gas.
Well, let's hear what Brett Hearn's thinking as we're under caution for the first time.
So we might want to consider plan B, especially since we got probably half the field down a lap already.
10-4. Not this one. Definitely not this one. But I'm working on it.
Well, Tim McCready's headed for pit lane. Hearn trying to figure out which strategy they're going to go with. Let's check in for the Napa Auto Part Pit Road reports.
T-Mac, Tim McCready, pulls in and he just takes a bit of fuel. Larry White also a bit of action in the Gypsum Express 99L pit area. A few more of these guys coming in just topping up fuel. Alan Johnson's 10J, they're changing the left rear on Alan Johnson's 10J and they get going. A couple more of them coming down the stretch now.
Pit stop for Rick Laubach. Rick complaining that he wants to tighten the car up a little bit in the corner. So what the guys are going to do is they're going to put a 1-inch spacer in the right rear to bring the wheel in, and they're going to put up a much more standing up straight spoiler on the back. Right now you see the spoiler leans back a little bit. The one that they're about to put on will stand up much straighter to try to lock the back of the car down, hence tightening the car up in the middle of the corner.
Actually changing the spoiler, Shane, that's going to take you a little bit of time.
Well, they have a whole mile under caution. They don't have to rush, and I'm sure their spotters are keeping them informed of where the pace car and the rest of the field are on the speedway.
Obviously looking for a little bit of downforce on the rear end of that car.
Well, they wanted to tighten it up, and the track is awfully slick, so you got to do what you can while you can, and this is a good opportune time for them. Remember last year, Rick was caught speeding down pit road and had a chance to win this race if it wasn't for that penalty.
Let's hope they got it all tightened down right.
That's right. Out of Quakertown, Pennsylvania.
There he goes. Back underway.
Wouldn't you like to take one of these cars out once?
Yes. Or twice, or maybe 3 times.
Would you want to do it here on the mile?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about a moment.
Why do I have a feeling we might be able to find a ride for you?
I'm up for it anytime. Let's check in with Tony Bakoven once again on pit road.
Guys, Keith Flack now in the work area, also same thing. Pulling in that right rear, trying to tighten that car up. Common theme on pit road is cars needing to tighten up in the middle of the corners.
All right, Tony, and Keith racing with a bit of a heavy heart.
Yeah, he sure is. The Flack family lost J.C. Flack, a longtime racer out of the Lebanon Valley Speedway, and Keith racing with a heavy heart. Our condolences to the family of J.C. Flack, and I know it would be special if those folks could win this race today.
Of course, that was his brother. That's why he's running the number, and apparently they need to tighten that rear wing down a little bit more.
A couple of extra Zeus screws to go into that spoiler to make sure it's connected to that sheet metal on the rear deck lid.
But they didn't panic.
No,
they
they
took their
didn't.
time, they did it right, and he's ready to go.
And that's the key.
Hill getting ready. The laps so far into caution have been counting. We've been talking about the story of the 7 with that spoiler. Here's Tony with more on that story.
But guys, on Rick Laubach's pit stop, they came in to do a couple things. Again, as I told you, they took a spacer out and pulled that right rear wheel in because, again, they want to try to tighten the car up in the middle of the corner. The other thing they did was they changed this spoiler. As you see it here, the spoiler was kind of leaned back. The spoiler they put on is much more straight up and down to try to lock that car down. They had to come back in because this spoiler is held on with this little aluminum Zeus button. They didn't get them all in, and they had to make sure they got them in. And as you see, it's a small hole right here on this spoiler. It sticks right down in the hole like this. They use a screwdriver to lock it in. They didn't have them all in when they went back out, so they wanted to make sure that that spoiler does not come off.
Tough enough to get those all in the shop. Even tougher when you're under pressure at Moody Mile.
But they stayed cool, calm, and collected, and they were able to get it done.
So's our race leader as he takes the field back to green. And he's got a little bit of breathing room now. They've got themselves from that traffic they were working themselves through.
A little bit of breathing room, but the battle behind him shaping up. Ooh, a little wiggle there from the Billy Dunn 49. Tim Fuller starting to work that top side, looking to get around the 9S of Matt Shepard.
Watching that 74 that you're talking about right there. He's up on the high side. He lost a lot of ground right there. Trouble coming off at turn number 4 for Fuller.
Wanted to avoid those bumps that we saw in the middle of the turn. But he had a run right alongside of the Shepard number 9S, but he couldn't make it pay off. Boy, they're really close to that inside cinder track, aren't they? Wow. That's what's always amazed me about open-wheel racers, Ralph. The feel that they have for the car and knowing where those front tires are at all times. Obviously, they're in front of them, but where they're put on the speedway, not to get into the cinder track or a cone or a Jersey barrier. A great vision, great feel for the race car.
Well, and it's a very difficult spot to sit into the cockpit of this car. You really can't see. Oh, and caution on the speedway for the second time today. That's going to slow the field down once again. Oh, it's Peter Britton. And that car looks like it's leaning in a funky way.
Sure does look like something broke. Looks like the shock tower broke.
Yep. Right there on the right front.
Right off of turn number 4 to the entrance of the pits.
He makes his way down pit lane, and we go to Clinton Jeffrey.
And here we go, lap 32. Peter Britton into the pits. His Troyer machine with issues on the right front. The shock tower has come off. Actually, the bolt has come out here on the right front shock tower. Crew on the move here. They've got the car in place. They're lifting it up. Trying to get the front end up in the air so they can replace the shock bolt here on the top of the shock tower. Crew working furiously away. Just looks like the bolt either came out or broke, and the crew trying to get it back in. The problem here, it's a threaded slot that the bolt goes into. Doesn't require a nut. The bolt just has to twist in tight. If the threads are gone on that, this is going to be a problem. Peter Britton sits patiently in the car here, waiting for the crew to get going. The Aussie came in so promising into this race.
Well, and that is really costing him a ton of time.
It sure is, but again, they are under caution. They can take their time, make sure that they do it right, and if they need to come back down pit road, they can do it again.
Back out he goes, hoping it's going to work. Right back to Syracuse. The VP Small Engine Fuels 200 is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, Napa Know-How, STP, the racer's edge for over 50 years. Gravely zero-turn lawnmowers, powered by Kawasaki. Love the helmet. Cruz getting in the spirit of stuff here at Syracuse.
Easy to find your pit stall with a helmet like that.
No doubt about it. Here's our lineup as they run here at the VP Small Engine Fuels 200 as we get ready to get back to racing after our second caution of the day. Foot into the throttle, and here we come off of 4 once again.
Stuart Friesen in the 44 able to pick up a spot. Two-time defending winner of this race, looking to make his way to the front.
And trying to do it with a new crew chief this year.
That's right. His former crew chief, Matt Hearn, is now with his uncle, Brett Hearn.
They're up front. As we watch the field storming down into 3 and 4, you caught a glimpse of Ryan Godown in the 747 out of New Jersey.
Tim Fuller really still working that top side.
Well, and how about Hearn, too, on the start here? We know he's got something going on with that car, but still, when that green came out, he opened up a pretty good gap on second place pretty fast.
Hasn't slowed him down any. He's right where he wants to be, out in front of this field. And he sets the pace right now. He can push that car as hard as he wants, or he can back it off and just let it roll through the corners as soft as he wants.
There again is Friesen, the black and white number 44, the bright neon numerals on the inside, right hugged up along the wall there.
Like some drivers would love to win this event once. He's won it the last 2 years. Impressive for Stuart Friesen out of Niagara on the Lake, Ontario, Canada.
As you said, any win here is a big one. Do it twice, that's incredible. 2 in a row is pretty impressive.
Like I mentioned earlier, only 21 drivers have ever won this event. Hearn, Gary Ballou, Billy Decker, Alan Johnson, Buzzy Ruderman, Jack Johnson, Bob McCready, Doug Hoffman, Frank Cozy, Vic Coffey. I mean, this is a list of who's who in the modified racing world.
Hall of Famers, each and every one, without question.
That's right.
You know, we were talking earlier about the cockpit of these cars. Situated right in the center of the vehicle makes it very difficult to see. Ooh, where's he going?
Wow. Oh, something's wrong.
Something is wrong. You don't just miss your line like that when you're a 2-time winner of this race.
No, you don't.
And now he's coasting up top. And I'm betting we're going to see our third caution here.
Wow, what a tough break. Looking for 3 in a row here at Syracuse.
He's not going to make it all the way around to pit lane, that's for sure. There it is.
There it is.
Caution number 3 comes out.
And I'm sure he's relieved just like everybody else is. That's a tight part of the racetrack. Not a lot of wiggle room to get around. So caution coming out for Stuart Friesen.
Boy, he just went down into 1, and you can see a little bit of smoke trailing off the rear there. That thing just took off high.
It doesn't look like anything broke in the front end on the car.
Now the pizza log's back, number 44. Coasts to a stop.
Very ill feeling, especially when you know you have a race car that is capable of winning.
Well, it looks like his shot at 3 in a row has ended.
That is definitely not how you want to end Syracuse. Tough break for Stuart Friesen.
Well, you can see the clouds off in the distance. Battling Mother Nature here as well at Syracuse. You think he's staring at the weather?
I don't think he's looking at Facebook.
Entire strategy. What are you going to do here today?
Wow. After lap 100, you're supposed to make a mandatory pit stop and change the right rear sneaker. Now, with the weather coming in, this could change the strategy, Ralph.
Unfortunately, Stuart Friesen's strategy went out the window. He was looking for a 3rd win in a row here. He is out, and now with Clinton Jeffrey.
Stuart Friesen, certainly not the way you wanted your day to end. Quite premature. What's the story here on the 44 machine, Stewie?
We just had a parts failure in the driveline. One of them things that breaks, and you freshen all that stuff before this race and try to go over as best you can, but stuff breaks. That's what happens.
All right, thanks a lot for your time, Stuart. Stuart Friesen won't be 3 in a row today here at the mile.
And I'm not sure what's more painful, being out of the race earlier, trying to pull that tape off your ear.
Oh, you just saw what it means to win Syracuse. He's won it twice in a row, and now he knows what it's like to lose this event after being a two-time champion. That right there, for an upbeat guy like Stuart Friesen, that was dejection.
All of a sudden, those 2 wins aren't very satisfying, are they?
That's right.
Back to green we go. Hearn out front. We've heard him talking about pit strategy, and everybody keeping an eye on the sky right now.
Well, we talk about Stuart Friesen being dejected after winning the last 2. How about Brett Hearn? He hasn't won this race since 1995. That's 17 years.
17 years, but he's got a few.
Yes, he does. 5 of them. Fuller is still working that top lane. Impressive with that number 74 up on the top shelf.
Hey, go where the other guys aren't, right?
Well, you're absolutely right, and I'm sure his spotters are telling him, listen, everybody's running down low, go up to the top side, see what you can find. And he's been real good on the restarts, real good on cold tires.
And gaining knowledge, too, that he might use later on in the day, setting that car up for that high side as this race progresses.
This track is going to continually change no matter what the weather does. This racetrack, what you see now, will be different later.
Battling with Shepard in that blue and yellow number 9.
Shepard took advantage of a little bit of a miscue there by Fuller to take the position away. That track is slick. Look at that. Always impressed with these modified drivers, any race car drivers for that fact, on any dirt surface, being able to work the wheel, feel the car, the seat of the pants driving, not to overcorrect, not to oversteer, throttle control. They truly are magnificent at what they do.
Well, if you like to see your drivers drive, this is the type of racing for you. There's no aids to these cars. It's your right foot and the seat of the pants telling you what to do with it.
You have to be up on the wheel each and every lap around these racetracks. And here at Syracuse, you may have a long straightaway to be able to catch a breath, but anything can happen at the snap of a finger. You've got to be on your A game every lap.
Danny Johnson in that 27J.
No stranger to victory lane here at the mile. He has done it on 2 separate occasions, 1997 and 2006, and he's had a strong Super Dirt week so far.
He's in that black number 27.
He made one of the craziest, wildest passes I had ever seen back in 2006 when he went around Jimmy Horton on the backstretch and literally put the right side wheels up on the Jersey barrier on the back straightaway to get around Horton for the win.
Thick traffic all around the racetrack here.
There's somebody with some experience.
Yeah,
Kenny
the
Tremont.
115, that's where you're going, right?
That's exactly where I was going. Kenny Tremont, former winner of this event as well, back in 1999.
He started deep in the field in 26th.
You know, that's one thing about the short track racing. No matter where you go across the United States, Ralph, you know this as well as anybody. There's a lot of young guns coming up through the ranks, but there are sure a lot of seasoned veterans in these divisions that are still showing the young guns how to get it done.
Coming up on the quarter mark here of the VP Small Engine Fuels 200. 50 laps into the scheduled 200 right around the corner.
Tim McCready in that 39 looking to pull the double. And that, of course, winning the Gander Mountain 150 for the 358 modifieds and looking to win his first VP Small Engine Fuels 200.
He's in the 39 and he's running inside the top 15 right now.
Just got around the doctor, Danny Johnson. He took it a little bit wide in turn number 3, and that opened the door on the bottom for McCready. Nice, patient move. Waited for it to happen, and it came to him.
Well, we talked about Matt Hearn moving over from Friesen to work with his uncle, and Clinton Jeffries caught up with the crew chief of the 20H.
We're up here on the hauler for Brett Hearn. Matt, what's the story? We got an earlier report around lap 6 that possibly a header might be going away on the car. You're leading right now. What's the story?
We think we might have cracked the tailpipe, but we're not rubbing, no smoke. We're pretty sure we're going to be all right. Not a problem.
What's Brett saying about the car? Track conditions are always an issue.
Car's awesome. I mean, track's great. I've never seen this track this good. And, I mean, we're going to ride it out. Conserve.
All right. Right now they're leading. They don't look too worried about that cracked header, but we'll watch and follow the story throughout the day.
sure doesn't look like it's causing him much of a problem as we go back to the front. There is Brett Hearn and that black and neon yellow 20 with the small H on it.
There's a word that he used that we're going to hear quite a bit from the crew chiefs. Conserve, conserve, conserve. We've seen this race won on fuel mileage in the past. And Brett Hearn, you know he's going to back out of that throttle early. Just let it roll through the corners, not to use up too much of that VP Racing fuel.
We've seen him lose here on fuel, too.
Yes, we have. And that Gander Mountain 150 for the 358 modifieds came up just a little bit short. But if there's anybody that I would not want to play chess against, it would be Brett Hearn, a cunning strategist. This guy is on top of his game when it comes to putting a strategy together. We heard on the radio earlier, they were talking about plan A and a plan B. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a plan C and D as well.
Oh, you work a little deeper into the alphabet if you'd like. Pretty sure. And one of those things that's going to come with that strategy is going to be tires. What are they going to do? Here's Clinton.
Down here in the pits for Billy Decker. Tire prep, still a key issue, even in the middle of the race. Decker currently running third in the crew here, prepping tires. They pretty much take this heated razor blade and pull it through the tire. See, makes little tiny slits in the tire. And what that does is it opens up the tread a little bit, helps the heat escape, improves tire wear, and gives traction. On a brand new tire, kind of slick and hard, this opens it up and really softens up the rubber so it'll grip the clay here at the mile.
That's not grooving a tire, that's siping a tire.
That's right. They want to make that tire a little bit more expendable for themselves to be able to use. Now, want to remind everybody that they are running the extra hards here today on the right rear and the right front. And on the left front and the left rear, they're running the D400, which is a little bit softer compound. And as Tony alluded to earlier, after lap number 150, the teams that brought their tires to the stage area and painted purple, they can go to that softer D400 for the right rear at the conclusion of lap 150.
So when do you come in and change that tire? You better start thinking about it now, because in less than 50 laps, that window is open, and you got to make a decision in that final 100. And if rain is going to be a story here today, and it is definitely in the area, you got to think about it.
That's right. You have to make the pit stop after lap 100 to change that right rear. But you can stop on lap 101. You could stop on lap 150. You could stop on lap 199. But if there's weather in the area like we're seeing, Ralph, that changes the strategy. You may not want to come down pit road.
Yeah, and it's, man, and the fuel issue that you talked about, all the things that come into play here in Syracuse.
So who has the most pressure on him right now? Is it the driver behind the wheel of one of these modifieds? Is it the crew chief that is watching the fuel mileage? Or is it one of the crew members that's watching the radar on their smartphone or their laptop?
It's the guys on pit road right now. If you're one of these drivers, you're just doing what you're told to do. Keep this thing moving forward, conserve as much fuel as you can, and wait for them to call you to pit road.
Good point. Very good point.
At this stage of the race.
Right.
Later on, it's going to change.
Well, when it gets close to lap 100, then all the pressure is going to swing to the pit area.
Battles continue here on the racetrack. Look at that outside groove continuing to work here for the 74 Tim Fuller.
Slower car right there in front of those guys. Bobby Varon still feeling the pressure from Billy Decker's number 91 and that 98H, Jimmy Phelps. Here's a guy that has run very well here at the mile in the last couple of years, that number 98H machine out of Baldwinsville, New York. His best finish, a second place in 2010.
That 00 Varon running a Bicknell chassis, a handful of different brands that these guys try.
You've got Bicknell, you've got Troyer, PMC, Tio. So a nice little variety of chassis. And as we look at the running order, Brett Hearn out in front with that Tio chassis. Bobby Varon with a Bicknell. Also out there with Bicknell is the number 91 of Billy Decker. And we've got Vinny Vitale off the pace. He's had troubles all day.
That could be caution number 4, and it is coming out on lap 63. Too early to come in and change that tire, though.
Yes, it is. You know, we've talked about Matt Hearn working with his uncle, Brett. His dad, Bobby, is the man that started Tio Chassis that Brett Hearn just happens to be driving. Nice little family affair.
Been a long-standing part of the Super Dirt Car Series. We're under caution for the 4th time here at the Moody Mart. Well, we've been talking about it. Weather is in the area. You can see the green moving right towards Syracuse. Here's Clinton with the update.
Weather's always a factor here at Syracuse. The saying goes, if you don't like the weather, wait 2 minutes. It's going to change. The biggest tool in the pits today normally would be a jack or maybe a tire wrench. What it is today, a mobile phone. Up and down pit lane, all the teams are checking this. Little thing right here, this could be the key, because if you can find out when the rain is coming, make those proper adjustments, make the pit stop, and put yourself in a position to possibly be leading after lap 100, because if we make it that far, this race is official.
Make sure you got the right app, huh?
That's right. But you know, again, we've got to talk about this, Ralph. They've got to stop after lap 100 to change that right rear. Doesn't matter when you stop. This puts a whole twist to the strategy. Do you come down pit road or do you stay out? If you're Brett Hearn leading, you may just have yourself quite a dilemma to choose from.
37 laps to figure out what you're going to do.
Oh, boy.
Working lap 63 as we come to the green once again.
So if you're in the Hearn camp, you doing the rain dance?
Yeah, I don't know. He's got a pretty strong car right now. You know, I think with him, it's all about late stages of the race, as he said earlier on today. He's had strong cars here in the past. It's just as the race winds down, all of a sudden, Lady Luck jumps off of his car and onto somebody else's.
And if we do get that rain, like it showed on that smartphone, you sacrifice track position if that blows through quickly.
Good question.
50,000 reasons to think about.
And immortality as a Syracuse winner. Fuller in that 74, continuing to hunt towards the front.
He is strong. That 74 car is awfully strong. He's been able to put it wherever he wants today.
Go down in the 747, having an interesting day. Tony has more on that story.
Well, guys, about 69 laps in, under that last caution, I talked to Ryan Godown's crew chief, and he said Ryan's really happy with the car. He said it feels pretty fast to him. I said, how fast? He said, real fast. All they're going to do when he comes in under the next caution, a few minor adjustments, give him some fuel.
Well, we've had 4 cautions so far today.
And Ryan, no stranger to victory lane here on the mile. Back in 2001, he won the sportsman portion of Super Dirt Week.
Matt Shepard continuing to work in that 9S, the multicolored blue and yellow car. He's running one of those Bicknell chassis. We talked about the variety of chassis, also a huge variety of engines.
That's right. There's multiple engine manufacturers in the Northeast, and they all come to Syracuse with top-notch equipment. Because if their driver wins, that means they get the prestige, gives them that extra public relations bonus, and then other drivers want that motor to go to Syracuse or other tracks to race.
See Shepard and Fuller still inside the top 10. And about a 3-second gap between our race leader Hearn and Barron running in second place.
You notice, Ralph?
Oh, look at this. Problems here, and everybody's scrambling to get around the 5 of Jimmy Horton.
Wow. Horton considerably off the pace. Dives down pit road. Looks like his day in the number 5 machine is done.
Well, that should keep us green. Although he did come to a stop there. If they can push him quickly out of the way, maybe we can stay green here, working lap 73.
And it looks like
push truck right there, yeah.
As I was saying about Brett Hearn, it sounds like that he is starting to lift off the throttle early going into the turns. Especially, we can hear it in turn number 1, really starting to lift early before the flag stand and letting that car roll through the corners. Conservation on the fuel.
Getting into the corner, just half of the fuel battle. How hard you get on the throttle coming off the other end of that issue.
That's very, very true. You want to be patient with that throttle control. You just can't mash the gas. And as slick as this track has been today, you don't want to do that anyways. But when you're trying to conserve fuel on top of that, boy, there's a fine line.
Barron in the 00, about 3 seconds behind, and then just a couple of tenths behind him is where you're going to see our third place car coming right after him. Boy, those big blocks will suck the gas down too, won't they?
They sure do. Boy, what a powerful machine. Sleek race cars. Race fans, no matter where you are in the United States watching this, if you get the chance to come to the Northeast and see the big block modifieds, or better yet, the World Finals down in Charlotte with the sprints and the late models, you get to see these big block modifieds. You'll fall in love with them.
Of course, all dirt roads lead to Charlotte. We're going to be there live here on Speed in November, that first Saturday night. What a great way to wrap up the year in dirt.
Crowning 3 champions on the evening.
We should be caked in it by the time we get to the banquet on Sunday. Taking a look back up towards the front, the fight for third and almost a fight for second, because it's really 3 cars running in a row here, including the 98H at Jimmy Phelps, who holds down 4th place right behind Decker. Oh, and here comes caution number 5.
Larry White, the 99L, off the pace, left rear flat tire.
There's a flashing yellow light. We're going to slow the field down once again here in Syracuse, and Speed will return to the VP Small Engine Fuels 200.
So
pretty soon we're going to be going back to green here once again at Syracuse, the VP Small Engine Fuels 200. Coming to a close of our 5th caution of the day. Hearn, Barron, Decker, Phelps, Shepard, Fuller, all those top 10 cars pretty much been holding position so far in this first 100 laps or so.
Well, they are going to have a big decision to make in less than 24 laps, Ralph. Do you pit or do you stay out with the weather that we have coming in?
And it is on the way. We showed it to you earlier, and I can tell you it's not getting any better.
Nobody really making a charge like they have on the past restarts. In particular, point out that 74, Tim Fuller, and I think we see why.
Yeah, water droplets on our camera lenses. As we said, it's not getting better around here. It doesn't look so bad off in the distance as you see the horizon around New York State Fairgrounds, but it's definitely in the area.
Well, where we were just looking off the back straightaway, that's the north. Turn 3 and 4 is the west, and it gets awfully dark over there. So now it comes down to how aggressive do you get to be and how aggressive can you be? If we have some droplets coming down, you know that's got to slick the track up that much more.
Well, Hearn continues to get a great jump. He was about 3 to 4 seconds in front of second place Barron just before the caution came out. But Decker looks like he's increasing the pressure a little bit in the fight for second here with Barron. Decker in the 91, Barron in the 00, the white, blue, and red car. Radio conversations on Decker's car now. Let's listen in.
Keep an eye on Barron. He just ran over a brake caliper getting in the drain right in front of us. Keep an eye on him.
All right, so the crew telling Decker to watch the right front of Barron's car. See if it starts to twitch. He might drift up high if he's got a problem having run over what appears to be a brake caliper on the racetrack.
And that would open up the door for Billy Decker. He's just biding his time right now. No sense of pushing the issue.
Might have been what came off of White's car.
That's a very good point off of that left rear. Bobby doesn't seem to be having any problems with that 00 right now. Car's able to stay on the low side of the speedway. He's not really pushing it, just letting it glide through the corner.
Talk about not having problems. But seems to be okay.
I can't remember the last time that Brett Hearn had this strong of a race car here at Syracuse.
Yeah, but he's not going to count anything early, that's for sure. He knows he's only, 15 laps just to the 100 mark, and halfway, there's still a lot of racing left to go if Mother Nature's going to allow it.
And you know they're still watching the computers, the smartphones, watching the weather. What do you think the crew chiefs right now and the strategists in the pits are saying? Do you bide your time, or when do you really start to put the hot coals to that fire and go to the front and see if somebody can challenge Brett Hearn?
I think the biggest question up and down pit road is what's the best weather app? Everybody's trying to make sure they got the best information to use. Look at that lead already, and the rain droplets continue to build on the camera lens. You can see that. Not hard enough to impact the quality of the show, but it's there.
Substantial lead for Brett Hearn.
Well, we've heard Brett Hearn on the radio talking about strategy A, B, and who knows how many other after that. Here's more.
If we get a yellow in the beginning of the second 100 there, really got to, I don't know how much longer we can go after 100. It's going to be too risky, but if we pit and lose the race because of rain, that would suck.
We're watching closely, man. Just ride. Get to lap 100 here. I mean, radar says it's on us.
Yes, it would. That would be a really tough way to lose this one after he's been by far the dominant car.
And did you hear the tone and the response that Matt Hearn gave to his uncle Brett? Said, relax, just ride, we're on it. That is a crew chief that has won this race twice already and is looking for a third win, first with his uncle.
Yeah, Brett's just reminding him if you get it wrong, Thanksgiving's not going to be a lot of fun. And you can see the raindrops definitely adding to the lens. It is not getting any better. And Tony, I'm sure you got your eye to the sky down there on pit road.
As the sprinkles continue to fall, a lot of speculation on pit road. Here's what they're speculating about. Earlier on, up till about lap 75, the track was very dusty, much like this here. There was a lot of loose material out on the racetrack. So drivers were trying to figure out how they should tighten up the car to make sure they could get as much tractive effort through the corner. Well, under these sprinkles in this moisture condition, the track is changing to something a little more like this, where it's much more sticky. That loose stuff is starting to form into like mud, and now the characteristics of the car's handling is much different. So between adjusting for the compensation of this moisture and making sure they have enough fuel, there's a lot of speculation on pit road right now.
And you better do it quick, because in 9 laps, we're halfway. You got to make that call.
Oh, boy, that's a tough call, but that's why they are racing for the big bucks, and we're not. $50,000 to the winner of this event, Ralph. Man, that's a tough decision to have to make.
The drivers are feeling the track slicking up.
And it is. I mean, this track was slick when it started, but now you add the moisture, it gets that much more difficult to race on.
And all those cars in the top 10 are showing a lot of speed. How are they going to play it? Back here at the Moody Mile, and the mood is darkening with the rain. Wow, look at the cars dancing around out there now as Phelps scrambles to bring the 98 under control.
And look at how this has brought everybody close together, except for one car. Where's Brett Hearn?
He's checked out. But yeah, I got to tell you though, Shane, I'm a little surprised that some of these guys have waited on the track position of this deal. I would have thought, knowing the weather was coming, some of them might have pushed to get a little closer up as this weather closed in. Let's check in on the scanners again. Here's Decker.
Keep coming. They're going to try to get to 100, and then you don't know what's going to happen with the rain.
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, I would have thought maybe you would have pushed earlier.
You're right. I don't know and understand the strategy of what some of these guys saw. Maybe they think that it's going to blow over and be able to go back to racing. I don't know. I would hope that the rain just holds off and we can continue.
Could have been a fuel issue. Here's Clinton with his take on the weather.
Well, we mentioned rain was coming. It is starting to sprinkle here at the New York State Fairgrounds. But unlike other type of dirt tracks, where just a minuscule amount of water makes the track slippery like an ice rink, not the case here. This hard-packed, cinder-type track can really hold the moisture. It doesn't get too bad, a little bit slick, but we can still keep racing under a little bit of this light rain.
It's still raceable for now, but that's a big sell headed this way. Pit strategy. What are they thinking, Tony?
Well, guys, as I continue to walk on pit road and talk to the crews, there's a lot of dissension now on pit road. Your leader, Brett Hearn, has not pitted yet, and there has to be a mandatory pit stop. If it rains and this race is called, the question will be, what happens to your leader?
But you can't do it till 100.
That's right. He doesn't have to pit until 100, but it doesn't say that you have to pit after lap 100 exactly on lap 101. He could pit on lap 150, 175. He could pit on lap 199.
But you're hoping for that caution.
Yeah, right now, if you're Brett Hearn, you are.
Well, in 3 laps, you are.
That's right, in 3 laps.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, man. The stress of when do you come in?
But that's part of the strategy now. It really becomes a roll of the dice. Do you come down and take the tire and sacrifice the track position?
Well, we see a change for second place here as Decker has moved around Barron. I wonder if that issue with that front tire is starting to catch up. Back to the radios. Let's check in once again.
5 bags of Barron. Go get him, Phil. Let's go. Right there, looking good.
So the encouragement to Decker to start digging towards the front. Shepard, what's he going to do in the 9?
Traffic for Hearn. This could open the door for Billy Decker as he was pulling away easily from Bobby Barron.
All right, working lap 99, so we're 1 away from 100.
Awfully strong all day long. Brett Hearn took the lead early.
Well, and there's a halfway bonus, too.
That's right. Leader of the halfway, ironically, gets a Tio chassis and body. Brett Hearn's brother, Bobby Hearn, is the owner of Tio Chassis. I wonder if you'll let him keep it.
Well, I'm sure he gets a pretty good rate anyway, but you know, hey, when you're a racer, man, you'll save nickels everywhere you can. And look at this. Decker is charging.
Ooh, boy, they must have told him before we heard that, before we tuned in. They must have told him, giddy up and go, Billy.
Well, we knew the cars in the top 10 were all strong, and nobody was really showing what they had outside of Hearn. Let's hear what he's got going on the radio.
Track is gone, man. The track is gone. You gotta do something. There's no track.
Now they're saying the track is gone now. We heard Clinton saying earlier this track will stay racy in moisture for a while. Maybe we're pushing the edge, or maybe they're hoping the officials are going to encourage them to do something about it. That was the halfway sign, so the chassis and body go to Hearn. Let's check in once again with Decker's radios and see what he's talking about.
I just got low fuel pressure in that turn. Out of gas. You want me to hit pit road? You're clear. You're out of gas?
Fuel an issue now for Decker.
Oh, baby, this is going to change everything up.
Oh, man. Well, yeah. Now we're staying green, and guys have fuel issues, and Decker's going to pit road. Barron almost runs into the back of him. Decker, he was out of fuel, so he said on the radio, here he comes. The first of the pit strategy comes to play under green, Clint.
Billy Decker in the pits on lap 101 to make the mandatory stop.
Gas only. He only took gas. Remember, the rule is you're supposed to change a right rear tire after lap 101. So Decker didn't need to do it at that point. He can still do it at any time, but he had to give up a lot of track position because he was out of gas.
So that means everybody else is in the window for sure.
And that's a smart move by Decker because he doesn't go a lap down by just taking the gas instead of putting on the right rear tire at this point.
So he's still hoping for that caution.
Yes.
Now, what is he going to do? He, being Brett Hearn, who has led basically every one of the 103 laps we've done so far. Well, we've talked all day about all the different strategies they've had to play. We've seen Decker down pit road. What's Hearn going to do?
Where you going, man?
Careful, conserve.
There's that word again.
Conserve, and they've pushed it pretty far to 104. Now, we did see Decker push pretty hard to go from third to second, so he might have used up a little extra fuel to get to that point. But how good at conserving is Brett Hearn?
Well,
he's 4 laps over where, he's in 4 laps over the window.
It's been 17 years since he has won at Syracuse. I'm sure he is going to conserve every drop he can. Remember, Ralph, in the past, we've seen drivers go 129 and 132 miles on a tank of fuel here at Syracuse to win this event.
Barrett, he looks like he's out of fuel.
And he was running in the top 5.
And only about 3 seconds off of what Hearn was running.
This begs the question, even though Brett Hearn has been conserving, does he have enough gas to stay out on the speedway?
So the Dover break back 00. Is he just going to take fuel? Probably. No, they got a tire. They're going to change the tire as well as taking the fuel. Here's Clinton with the stop.
Bobby Varon in the 00 comes in just as the caution flies here. They're going to put 2 new rear tires on this Dover break 00 for Bobby Varon. He's been very competitive throughout the week, and don't count out this 00.
Well, the pit strategy would have worked great if they could have held on for another half a lap, but boy, does it work good for Brett Hearn. He got exactly what he was hoping for. We'll be back for the pits. Well, the rain is falling here at the Moody Mile, Syracuse, and New York State Fairgrounds. Speed is here for the VP Small Engine Fuels 200. And that is the topic of conversation, the weather up and down pit road and from the cockpit of all the race cars. Here's Brett Hearn.
See anything, man. You can't see anything.
I think Dirt's going to make a call right here.
Well, listen, if you're the driver and you're leading this thing, you want the officials to think it's a hurricane.
That's right, because you're in prime position to win this race, and everybody else wants it to stay under caution and hopefully keep this weather away to get this one in.
Right, so we are past halfway, and it would be considered an official race. As you can see, there's some light off in the distance, but that's not where the storm's coming from.
No, that's actually the east, northeast portion. Right there is looking right into the west, and that's where all the weather's coming from.
Well, in upstate New York this time of year, not unusual to get this kind of weather.
It's October. This is what we expect, but not on race day.
All right, back to the scanners we go.
The biggest problem is you can't see where you're going.
So Hearn continues to describe the driving conditions. Go down, head into the pits, as well as the 32. You see Coffey making his way in.
Ronnie Johnson right in front of him as go down comes to his pit stall, and they are going to change the right rear tire. So some strategy here, giving up some track position, thinking maybe the weather's going to pass us by and this one's going to continue on.
It's a gamble. You see some of the guys going around to get that tire change done. Here's some more pit stop action with Clinton Jeffrey.
So we're going to work both sides on this Napa 91 for Billy Decker. He pulls the tear off out of the way and keeps going. They roll the new tire in. Good change going so far for Decker. Behind him, David Hebert also in. Becchetti in farther down the line, but we watch this Decker stop. This could be the race for Decker here. They got to get him back out and get rolling. Decker down and away here in the Napa Auto Parts 91.
Fast race car, and now he's completed his stop the way he needs to. He's good to go.
So the strategy for the Billy Decker crew right now is okay. We saw the weather. We know what the weather's going to be. We came in. We changed our right rear tire. Now let's see if we can get that track position back when this race goes back to green.
But what about Hearn?
Whew, the $50,000 question. Do you come down pit road or do you stay out on the track?
Yeah. I mean, everybody else just about, the guys that have been chasing you and hounding you all day have completed their mandatory stuff.
Two different strategies right now. You know, Brett Hearn's in the catbird seat. He's looking at this saying, okay, we're over halfway home. I'm leading the race. If they call this race, if the officials call this race, I'm going to be the winner. The guys behind him came down pit road and said, all right, we're going to give up some track position. We're going to put ourselves in position for when this goes back to green, that he's going to have to come in and take that pit stop, and we're going to be in a better position than him.
Well, we're going to see how this all plays out as we continue to wrap up caution number 6. So, Brett Hearn has been busy wearing his nephew out with thoughts. Let's hear what they're saying now.
They can't go green on this racetrack.
Shepard, everybody's giving them thumbs down. Give them a thumbs down just like everybody else.
Well, you notice Brett Hearn wasn't the only one that didn't come down. Tim Fuller didn't do it. Matt Shepard didn't do it. Jimmy Phelps didn't do it.
All the guys at the front of the field.
That's right.
We'll be right back to see how it plays out. Back here in Syracuse, the weather worsening. Ralph Shaheen, Shane Andrews, Clinton Jeffrey, and Tony Bachhoven with you. Let's go to the pits. Here's Clinton.
Here with crew chief for Billy Decker. Scott, what's the story? It looked like on lap 101 you guys only came in for fuel, then came back in for tires. The first stop would not have been a legal pit stop. If you didn't get this caution, would you have been in trouble, or was that part of the game plan today?
Well, no, we planned on coming in after 100, but we didn't plan on running out of gas. He lost fuel pressure. It was still running, so we decided we were going to get in here, put fuel in it, and nobody else came down. Not many come down pit road here, so we have to make a mandatory right rear tire change, so we decided to take advantage of that now.
So was the caution a big break for you guys?
Not really. I mean, we were good now. We had, after that green flag stop, we had 10 gallons in it, so I mean, we were going to be good for a while anyway, but everybody was already ahead of us, so it didn't matter.
What's Billy saying about the car?
We're not bad. We were just riding around, and it surprised us that we ran out.
All right, thanks, Scott, for your time. Billy Decker runs out of gas, but a couple of cautions saved their bacon here today.
And again, you can see everybody talking about the weather. We've been talking about this mandatory tire change. Of course, Mother Nature trumps the mandatory. Then that's the key for Brett Hearn. He's hoping Mother Nature's going to win out and that his just enough fuel and just enough tire to get to whenever this thing comes to an end.
That's right. They could keep the cars out on the track for another 20 laps, and Brett Hearn could be rolling around out there helping to keep the track in racing condition and run out of gas.
The other guys pitted, hoping the thing goes back to green. Now, here's Bobby Varon walking up, and we saw him coast down pit road. We thought he was out of fuel. Turns out he had a radiator hose come loose, and he's done.
Yeah, and you can see Varon, he is adamantly telling the officials what it's like out on the racetrack, and you can see the rest of the crew chiefs coming around to listen in. Varon obviously not happy with the condition of the racetrack, and most likely frustrated as well because of a overheating problem on the race car.
Yeah, apparently the radiator isn't the only thing venting right now. And boy, Brett Hearn trying to play a great hand of poker here today. Wiping off the visor, making sure all the officials see it. And the rain continuing to come down. All right, here's Bobby Varon now with Clinton Jeffrey.
Well, we're here with Bobby Varon. Bobby, how do you smile all the time, man? Tough luck again today, running out of fuel. But what was going on over here at Meeting of the Minds on pit road?
Well, I just went over there to tell them, they always talk about driver safety, and right now with this rain coming down over the last 10, 15 minutes, there isn't a driver out there that's got a dry tear off on his helmet. And we're on dirt, and it just smears, and every time you wipe it, it just smears some more. So we can't see anything, and if they're concerned about the safety of these drivers, they need to get them off the racetrack, get them dry helmets, get them back out there on the racetrack. I'm concerned about my peers and my competitors. I don't want to see anybody get hurt here. But I'll tell you what, the Dover brake car was here. We were going strong. We had something for them. Unfortunately, our day's done early.
And that's a really good point, and apparently the officials have listened to him. The red flag is out. Competitors coming down pit road, and what is Fuller doing?
Well, everybody's coming down pit road, but Tim Fuller's coming back out onto the speedway from pit road on the back stretch.
See if we can figure out what's going on there. As the red flag is out, you can see that. And Brett Hearn hoping that this thing will not get restarted, which would give him his 6th win here at Syracuse in the 200.
One guy wants the rain to stay, 44 others want the rain to go away.
All right, now let's go back and see if we can figure out what happened with Fuller. So he did come down pit road. That's not a good move there.
No, a couple of different things here. First, he came in pit lane the wrong way. Second, he's out of his pit box. And third, another team serviced the car. He will be penalized to the rear of the field on the lead lap.
Well, now we sit and wait. And you see what Mother Nature has to say about this one. Covering up the cars, and now Fuller coasting his way back to the tail end of the field, which is where he's going to be scored anyway.
And that's a tough break for Fuller. He was running second when this all transpired. That's a huge difference in a payday.
Instead, Matt Shepard will slide up. So will Phelps and the rest. As you take a look at the top 10 here, as we sit now here at Syracuse, watching the skies above.
Well, again, Ralph, listen. They were supposed to make a mandatory stop, but Mother Nature trumps that on the right rear tire. Brett Hearn's sitting pretty good right now.
Let's see what Tony's hearing down there in pit road.
Well, obviously, as you can see, all the cars are down on pit road. The only thing the crews can do at this point is put a cover on them. They're just going to try to keep them dry from this light rain that we're experiencing right now. No fuel, no tires, no nothing but the cover.
Maybe some tear-offs.
And a good opportunity for us to take care of some business here on Speed. We'll be right back to the New York State Fairgrounds. Well, the 41st edition of the Napa Auto Parts Super Dirt Week. A little soggy right now here at the New York State Fairgrounds. We're under a red flag condition. Let's start seeing what the drivers have to say. Let's begin with Clinton Jeffrey, who's standing by with Jimmy Phelps.
Down here with Jimmy Phelps in the 98. Jimmy, you're running in third here as the rain delay comes out. What's your thoughts sitting here under caution?
It's a catch-22. We're way out of sequence as far as fuel, and if we do keep going, but we're not leading the race, so we want to try to get a shot at winning the thing. So I don't know. We're sitting in a decent seat either way. I guess we got a really good car. It doesn't appear like anybody's got anything for Hearn right now, but if we keep going, I think we got a good enough car to run up front all day. If we don't, we're sitting in a decent spot. So we'll see what happens.
And you can see the rain continuing to fall. Crews covering up toolboxes. Ryan Godown's had a good car too. Here's Tony with him.
Well, under this rain red, Ryan Godown, you've had a chance to get out of the car now. You had a great run going up to the 9th spot. You guys came in and did your pit stop, dropped back to 15th. But tell us about the car right now. Looks pretty good.
Yeah, the car's actually working real well. We pitted there right now, but before that we were coming, and we just kind of found our groove. We knew we had to make it past 100 laps to get our mandatory. We didn't want to stop before that and get called back into traffic. So, we did. We got past 100. We were able to make it. We pitted. We got our mandatory tire. And I think we're the first one that did pit and do our mandatory tire. So, I'm just proud of my crew guys got me out there first and all these guys. And hopefully we can keep this. Hopefully the sun comes out and we can get this thing in. We can get to the victory lane here.
Well, for some guys, the weather could be a great call. For other guys like a Ryan Godown, who's had a good car, the frustration of what could be if we go back to green.
Well, he played it right. He had a very good strategy, and he did go in, and he was able to get out there first. So if this does go back to green, Ryan Godown's in a very good position.
Boy, look how wet that track is, too.
It's going to take a while to get it back. I mean, the track crews are going to have to get out there, the Packers and everything, to get this track worked back in. So we're going to be here for a little bit there, Ralph.
And Bobby Varon talked about tear-offs and how difficult it is to see. Tony Bachhoven has a look at that.
Well, guys, one of the concerns under this short rain delay here is the driver's ability to see through their helmet. Right now, you're looking through a set of clear tear-offs. Under normal conditions, pretty clear view. But now that this rain has been falling and their shields get wet, now that's their perspective. So as you can see, it definitely gets tougher for the drivers to see. Throw a little mud on there, and it only gets worse.
Yeah, and a lot worse, too. And you see that water, and you want to wipe it off. Your hands got stuff on them with your gloves, and it goes from bad to worse in a hurry.
It sure does, and especially with the speeds here at Syracuse. That's a concern that the drivers had, and obviously the officials have. That's why the cars have been brought down pit road.
By far the right call to make. Now we just wait.
Quite a group there in the 20 pit, and I don't see anybody doing any rain dance over there for him.
The 5-time winner could become a 6-time winner and end what has been a long, and I hate to use this word today, drought.
Yeah, 17 years since he last won the 200 here on the mile. His first win came in 1985. He did it again, literally dominated in the 90s, 90, 91, 93, and 1995. But his first win coming in 1985, 27 years ago.
And what a gamble today, too. We saw these guys. We've talked about how some guys have been able to go 120-plus laps on fuel. But we knew he was in that tight spot, especially when you saw guys like Decker having problems and having to pit.
And he's a master strategist as well, so to see him have fuel issues that early in the event is really surprising. So you have to wonder how many laps does Brett Hearn have left in the tank.
All right, that's World of Outlaw official Chris Dolak right there in the blue headset. And based on the smile, I'm guessing Chris just told him we've been called to race, and Brett Hearn is a 6-time winner here at the Napa Auto Parts Super Dirt Week. The 41st edition goes to him. The VP Small Engine Fuels 200 goes to Brett Hearn. Man, what a poker hand they played today.
You can see one of the first people that congratulated him, his girlfriend Mel, and then of course car owner Guy Madsen, Brian Madsen there, Jay Castamore as tire specialist, his nephew Matt Hearn. How about this? He's won the last 3 200s as a crew chief.
3 in a row. Man, what a celebration they're going to have. Here's Clinton right down there in the mix.
We're here with Brett Hearn. Brett, they just announced it. Under the rain, you won the VP SEF 200 after 17 years. Bad luck of trying. Talk about your day, man.
Oh, man, unbelievable. What a race car. Holy crap. I mean, that thing was just handling. I could just go anytime I wanted to. But, you know, it's a nerve-wracking place. You know, you don't know what's going to happen with your fuel mileage. I mean, we had a tailpipe come apart. I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong, you know. Man, I'll tell you, that what a package. I mean, what a shock package from Bilstein and my nephew Matt working on those, and the chassis from T.O., Ender's engine, and a great bunch of sponsors. I mean, Mattson over at Doors, Guy and Patty, Brian, Mike. I got to thank them for so much support. I mean, they let us do everything that we do, and I got to thank them. And he always said he was going to quit after he won this. He just promised me he won't quit now.
Brett, you've had nothing but horrible luck here over the years. Early on in the race, around lap 6, we got reports of a cracked head or a pipe, something wrong under the car. Maybe that was your bad luck today, and that's a good bit of bad luck.
Well, the bad thing is it broke. The good thing is it fell inside the left rear tire and never hit anything. So it's still laying in there right now.
Congratulations, Jet. You're back in victory lane at the mile.
All right, man. Thanks. Awesome.
It was awesome. You know, even though it's been shortened, there is no question he had the most dominant car. You heard everybody saying it. As you take a look at our Armor All finish, here's a look at the final results as we work our way through the field. And Billy Decker, 19.
Wow, and that was all a part of the strategy. Came in to get the tire and tried to get himself in position if this race went back to green.
He's going to victory lane. We're going to break. We'll be right back. The VP Small Engine Fuels 200 is brought to you by VP Racing Fuels, world leader in race fuel technology. Hoosier, tires designed for champions. The Peak Motor Oil World Finals. All dirt roads lead to Charlotte. Well, his nickname is the Jet. Now it's 6-time. He's a 6-time winner here at Syracuse. Matt Shepard leads the points. That title fight won't be decided till we get to Charlotte live on Speed, but right now he's with Tony.
Well, Matt Shepard comes home a second-place run today. Nice, consistent run. A few lucky pit stops, and the Mother Nature, good finish for you to hear today.
Yeah, it really was. You know, we had a good, solid car all day. We just kind of rode around, saved some fuel. We're trying to conserve, keep the thing in one piece. And, you know, when the rain came about lap 80, we had to kind of figure out what we wanted to do. And, you know, we made the call. We said we were going to do whatever Brett did, and Brett stayed out, and we stayed out. And, you know, it worked out for us. We didn't run out of gas under caution or anything, and we'll come out of here with a second-place finish. That's pretty good for us.
Fuel mileage was a concern today, and as that rain continued on, was that something you guys were really worried about?
Yeah, I mean, it was getting tough to see out there. We don't have any windshields on them things, but and then when I seen the other guys start running out and we're kind of riding around packing the track in, I was getting a little nervous. You know, I was glad to see him come to pit road. We pretty much played that strategy and we were held to it. So best possible outcome for us was to come home with a second and a little bit of rain, so we'll take it.
Consistency and a little luck, and Matt Shepard comes home second.
And all those laps under yellow with that rain falling helped that fuel as this thing wound down and gave these guys an opportunity. Let's go back and take a look at our VP Small Engine Fuels race recap. Boy, this is all Brett Hearn once the thing got started.
Once he got started, he took the lead from Billy Decker, and he led every lap after that. But he had some great battles behind him as these drivers really put on a show here at the mile. Peter Britton in the 21A started on the outside of the front row. He had trouble. Stuart Friesen, no three-peat for him in that 44.
Yeah, a couple of cars that were very competitive today, just two of the ones that were part of the 6 cautions we had here this afternoon. And really, nobody had anything for Hearn, and then the rain came. He made the call right. The pit strategy worked. Don't know which letter of the alphabet in the strategy that ended up being, but in the end, he's a 6-time winner here. Let's go to Clinton now with our third-place finisher, Jimmy Phelps.
Well, we're here with our third-place finisher today, Jimmy Phelps. Jimmy, another one where your car was so fast, just not quite good enough to get to the top of the podium. Talk about your day for us.
Well, you know, it was pretty clean day. You know, I mean, I think we might have lost a spot or two. Once the rain started, we tried rolling a lap car on the outside and got out in the, you know, Toolies there, and Matt got under me. But other than that, I mean, we had a really good day. We had a good start. You know, we got a few cars right at the beginning, but I'd say the track was just so slippery, and it got to the point where you really needed to just roll the bottom. And, you know, I thought we were, you know, whether we were 4th, 5th, 6th, you know, running on the track. I thought we were as good, as good as second on back. Brett was awful good. He had us covered as far as speed goes today. It's hard to say if we went through a cycle of pit stops what would have happened in the end if we could have had a chance to make a few adjustments. But all in all, we're happy with our day. Naturally, we want to come here and win. We've been so close so many times, but I thought we had a top 3 car, and we ended up third. So we're all in all, our heads are up.
Once again, Phelps here, not quite close enough, but another solid day for one of the best here at the mile.
And good points.
Yes, very good points.
Well, the 41st edition of the Napa Auto Parts Super Dirt Week is coming to a close.
Typical Syracuse weather, Mother Nature plays havoc with us here. It's October, it's Super Dirt Week, but Ralph, what a great week overall.
The next World of Outlaw broadcast here on Speed will be live from Charlotte, the Peak Motor Oil World Finals. Don't forget, all dirt roads lead to Charlotte. We'll wrap up all the championships for the sprint cars, the Super Dirt Car Series, and of course, the late models. It'll be a great weekend of racing in Charlotte. You can see it live here on Speed on Saturday night. For Tony Bachhoven, Clinton Jeffrey, and Shane Andrews, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from Syracuse. Congratulations, Brett Hearn.